Hi, it's Chris Watkin here, and I'm joined by John McKenna, who's recently, about a year ago, joined the EweMove franchise. And you were before actually quite a senior area role, regional role in Countrywide. So today I want to ask you, what the hell did you give all that up for to start your own estate agency? So thank you for joining me today, John.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, Chris. Nice to meet you.
Good stuff, good stuff. So John, when did you become an estate agent?
So, Chris, I became an estate agent in 1996.
Wow, you must have been a child.
Thank you. I was 25.
Excellent.
But yeah, back in 96, applied for a role of trainee branch manager at Man & Co in Maidstone,
Yes.
which I got.
What did you do before?
Lots of different things, Chris. So a bit of a checkered career history. I landed in Barclays Bank in Maidstone in their standing orders and direct debits team. I did that for about 3 years, but I wanted to get into sales. And actually, we were actually working in an office block rather than in a high street branch. And so Barclays had one floor, and then underneath there was a telemarketing company, which I used to go and work in the evening. So I'd finish at 5 in Barclays, walk down a flight of stairs, and then go and work in the telemarketing team, which was my route into sales, because actually it's all phone work.
Did you do that because you wanted to earn more money, or what?
It was a bit of both. So obviously I got paid more money for doing a sort of almost like a double shift, doing a day and evenings and weekends as well at the telemarketing company. But it was also really more of a route into sales, because actually it was all telephone work. It started off actually doing surveys. I proved I had a bit of a talent for speaking to people on the phone, so they quickly then got me on to actually booking conferences and things like that. So I would basically, one of the jobs was phoning up people in Newcastle or builders in Newcastle, and inviting them along to a trade conference, phoning up cold from the Yellow Pages, and booking them that way. So that was one of the jobs that I did, and that actually served me well to become an estate agent.
Was it genuinely you were in your early 20s and you thought, I need to get better at sales, or was it really a case of, well, I'll try and earn myself a bit of extra cash?
No, I really wanted to get into sales.
Why?
There's a better earning potential. I was quite good at talking. I have a genuine interest in people as well. So combining the two meant I could get into a profession.
And what made you think, I'm going to go into a estate agency? I mean, let's be honest, in the mid-90s, estate agency was on its arse.
I was looking to get into sales in general. The opportunity to get into a estate agency came up. Although I was 25.
Was it sales because you wanted more money, or you were good with people, or both?
More money was the main driver, but I had, I was good at talking to people, so it was like kind of a natural route into that. Also, there's no cap on earning potential. If you're good at sales, you can go quite far, and actually that will also determine.
What did you like to spend your money on at that time as someone in their early mid-20s? Fast cars and fast women, and the rest you wasted.
Yeah, pretty much. No, it's to be honest with you. So the first year I was there, so I was 25. I was living in rented accommodation. Actually lived in a shared house in Maidstone with lots of other young people, which was quite good fun. And I lived there for about 2 or 3 years. But then after my first year in the estate agency, I had enough money to put down as a deposit on a house, and then like normal life. Started really. So
okay. So Man & Co are part of the Countrywide group. So if memory serves me well, is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yep. So when did you actually make branch manager?
After that first year. So I was assistant branch manager. I was a trainee manager in Maidstone. I outperformed all my targets. An opportunity to run a branch in Sheerness came up, which I applied for and got. So I started in June in 96 in Maidstone, and by July 97 I was the branch manager of Man & Co Sheerness.
Okay. How did that make you feel?
Brilliant. Felt like that. I felt that I had actually arrived in the right industry, the right career. And actually, I knew that right from the very beginning. So the very first day in Maidstone, about 9:30, there's a new person. They put you down the front, and I remember turning around about 9:30, seeing all my new colleagues, hearing the conversations that they were having, and just realising that I'd actually finally arrived in the right environment. And then it was.
What did you love about estate agency?
Back then, it was just very exciting. You know, it was just completely different. You know, I've never really thought that it's actually been work. You know, it's always been good fun. I remember driving out in July along the Tunbridge Road in Maidstone about midday. I think I was going to pick up some keys, and I'm driving there. And I've got my sunglasses on, and I'm thinking, this is work. This can't be. You know, bearing in mind I just spent 3 years in an office block.
Doing standing orders and direct debits.
Doing standing orders and direct debits.
Oh, awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
So it was back then. It was super exciting.
Okay. So how long were you at Sheerness for then?
So I was in Sheerness for a year. We did all right. Did all right. Did really well actually. And then the opportunity to run Manico Chatham, which was a much bigger branch, came up. So again, I applied for that and was given that opportunity there.
Okay. And how long were you at Chatham for?
Chatham was there for 5 years.
Okay, so that was late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
that was phenomenal, really.
What was it like working for Countrywide at that time?
It was really good. Yeah, really, really good. It's always
Big family, people say. You know, they didn't take prisoners, but
yeah.
it was like who was your boss at the time? Who was the big?
It was Mike Ansell was the managing director. So he's got a superb personal way about him, isn't he? So when you meet Mike, he makes you feel very much part of the team. My area manager then was Jason King. They were really, really super supportive. But on the other side of that, then if you were doing well, they also left you alone. So the support was there, but if you needed it, if you needed it, it was there. But if you were doing a good job, then they looked after you incredibly well. But also, they trusted in your ability to do the job.
I'm with you. So what happened after Chatham then?
So then I went to Dartford, which was a flagship branch,
Okay.
and was there for 8 years. Again, that was absolutely phenomenal there as well. So I really enjoyed it.
So now up to 2010.
Yeah, that's
okay.
about right. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're rocking and rolling. You're at the top branch. When did you make the move into being, going out a branch and running branches as like an area person?
Yeah. So I went from my then area manager left, and again I applied for the role of his patch, which was from Dartford down to the Medway towns, all man branches. So I applied for that role and I got that.
What was it like being an area manager compared to running your own branch at the time? How did you make that transition?
I've been working my way towards it anyway. Okay, so I was an assistant area manager anyway. So I had experience in running managers' meetings, driving performance with other branches as well. So okay. It was very much at that stage the next step. So
you were heir apparent for that, and
yeah,
and you've been given training and support to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Did you enjoy making the move though? Did you ever miss the branch?
I didn't. I'd done it for such a long time. So I'd actually run a branch for 15 years. So it was time for me to move on. If I'm absolutely honest, because actually I did need the new challenge, just for my own personal development, really. Okay. So I didn't miss it. I was still involved in it very heavily, but it was the right step for me to make at that time.
Okay. And how long were you in that area manager's role?
I was I left Countrywide last November. So it was
November 2019. We're filming this in December 2020.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah. So 8-9 years.
Okay. What point did you decide to yourself, being an area manager for Countrywide, or but in essence a big corporate, wasn't fulfilling your needs?
In the early days of being an area manager, regional director, it was brilliant. You know, it was absolutely a fantastic job. You had quite a lot of autonomy. You could actually drive your business the way you wanted to. Obviously, of course, you have like, your tram lines, or you know, if you stay within these, you can run your business, but you were given that autonomy to do that. Over the last few years, though, that kind of, especially when we had the retail experiment and things like that.
So we've got the Allison experience. Did things change in Countrywide at that time?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, so it started to become. You weren't so much, you know, driving your own business, but you were kind of. They got a lot more control in there, and you end up reporting a lot more of the figures rather than actually driving the business itself. So it wasn't the same job.
Was it the frustration of not being in control that what made you think I need to do something different with my life?
Yes, to a certain degree it was, because actually, you know, certainly in the early stages of like I said, being a regional director, you had quite a lot of control and you could drive your business. And then actually the constraints came in over the last few years, and actually it was almost like trying to do your job with one arm tied behind your back.
What was your lowest point? Go on.
The lowest point. That's probably, you know, it was building over the last sort of 18 months. I was you know, seriously thinking about what direction I wanted to go in. I'm thinking about, you know, there's an awful lot of pressure in that role itself as well, which to a certain degree, you know, I'm thinking, well, yeah, I can cope with that now, but will I be able to cope with that in 5 years' time?
Do you think you changed as a person in those last few years? Were you happy in yourself?
Yeah, I'm happy with me.
No, but in terms of you as a boss, looking your staff in the eye, coming home miserable probably because you were more like a bean counter than not actually making a difference.
Yeah, like I said, the job had changed significantly. So it wasn't it wasn't like I was able to support the branch and the teams, the branch managers and the teams as well as I could done in the past, and that was unsatisfying for me.
But the best way to change something is from within. Surely you could have stopped in corporate land and said, look, let's make a difference, or was it just that wasn't going anywhere?
It didn't strike me it was going in that direction. You know, it may have changed now, but certainly, you know, over a year ago, it really didn't look that way.
Can you remember the day that you said, I need to make a change to this?
It was probably, when was that? It was probably March last year. So
March 9, 2000?
Yeah,
Okay.
2019. I thought, well, actually, do you know what? There was a couple of things that had happened that I noticed. There was it was actually more. I saw the franchise model, the remote working, things like that were starting to come in, and actually running branches for Countrywide, we were running them with fewer and fewer people, which was fine. And I was kind of thinking, well, actually, you probably don't need as many people these days. You don't need a branch of 4 or 5 people in it to actually do the same job. So there was that I could see anyway. There was Rob Bassett and Mark Holmes as well, who were Countrywide regional directors, did my role as well. 3 years previous had left to set their own EweMove franchise up, and they were doing really well. And I thought, well, okay, well, I know those guys, I've got a similar sort of skill set and they're doing really well. Maybe that's the direction I should be going in. So it was probably about March last year that I actually thought, there's something more out there.
Did you look at any other models compared to EweMove?
Yeah.
Which ones caught your eye? I'm being honest.
Well, no, I looked
in a good way.
No, I looked at Keller Williams, Andrew Ben, who was a managing director for Countrywide.
Top man.
It was my managing director. He's involved in sort of the Bromley business there. So I had a conversation with him. I didn't feel that was the best one for me because I like the EweMove proposition far better.
What did you like about it? A cartoon sheep and some funny colours. It seems quite weird, if you don't mind me saying.
It felt. It had the feel of a traditional estate agency, but with an awful lot of tech support behind it.
Okay.
Which I could see. Yeah.
Do you think you would have considered them if it hadn't been for your 2 old colleagues that had set up their own business a few years before?
Possibly not. It was just it was the fact that they actually did catch my eye, and I thought, okay, and I knew Rob personally from Countrywide Days. Me and him had been on a few courses, so I knew Rob quite well. And so seeing how successful he was, I thought, well, actually, do you know what?
But do you think he'd have been successful irrespective of which model he went with?
Possibly. The appeal for me with EweMove, one of the biggest appeals was actually I could set my business up really swiftly, so knowing that I knew people had success in it already, and then also knowing that I could set my business up really fast.
I mean, did you have any fears about making that move? Because let's be honest, regional directors, regional managers, you do get paid quite well. You've got mortgage to pay for, car to pay for.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that? The fact is that your fancy paycheck would be cut off.
It was scary. It's been, and also this year's been a challenging year for that. But I've always been a good estate agent, so I knew that my biggest concern was actually getting me in front of enough people to make my business work, so that was my concern. Not actually once I've started to build those relationships, I would be fine.
I'm not saying this of you, but I've seen quite a lot of, and spoken to, but especially off the record, area managers and regional managers who've been out of a state agency for 5-10 years and got used to the cushy life.
Yeah.
How did you find that passion to be able to hit the ground, proverbially go door knocking, going back to basics?
Well, it's interesting. When you are a regional director, area manager, you're trying to inspire people to do those roles, to do those jobs all the time, and setting up my own estate agency business, although be it under the banner of EweMove, I had to demonstrate to all of those people that if you do the basics, then
it is the basics.
It is the basics. If you do the basics, then your business then you can have a very successful business. So on the 15th of January when we opened, I went out, I delivered leaflets, I knocked on doors, did all the things that I know work, but I had a duty, my own self-respect and also I had a duty to those people that I'd just spent 8-9 years saying you need to do this, to actually demonstrate to do it. So
what would your message be to area managers without that sort of drive and why?
I would say don't set your own business up, because you need to do that. It's if you don't, then it's a recipe for failure.
I mean, you've been going now near as damn it a year. How's it going?
It's gone fantastically well.
I mean, is there anything you'd have done differently?
No, not necessarily. No, because it's a simple. Estate agency is always simple. It's a simple model, isn't it? You need to drive market appraisals. If you focus on that, then you'll find. So for the first year, it's been absolutely phenomenal.
Are you happier?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because they work. It's one of the. Well, you mentioned earlier. Did you miss running a branch? And initially, no, I didn't. But actually, you end up being quite far away from the actual customer, and actually getting back to that, actually helping people. Helping people actually move and get achieve their goals is far more satisfying than running £1.5 million pipeline.
And what support do you get from EweMove head office?
There's as much support as you want, and there's as little as you need as well. Okay, so for me, we have a performance director who I speak to once a month, which is quite nice to just to touch in and make sure that I'm still on track. Also having Chris there, because you often, if you're working on your own, you can often be your own worst critic as well. And actually having someone saying, actually, you're doing all right, Yeah, actually, thanks, Chris. I am doing all right. Does make a bit of a difference on that as well. So that's there. You've got the tech support guys, which is a godsend. So if something's not working, you can fire off an email, make a phone call, and invariably they'll fix it swiftly, which is great. I don't have to worry about marketing. Yeah, I don't have to worry about what my leaflets are going to look like that are going to go out in January, because that's taken care of. So from that point of view, it's absolutely fantastic. So they kind of provide the framework for me to do my job.
John, what's the future for you going forward?
Um,
You're in your, what, 50?
Not quite.
Late 40s?
Yeah, 49, 50 in May.
There you go. So you, I'm 50, about 2 or 3 weeks after you. There you go. How good's that? What does the future look like?
It's to grow the business, really. Okay, so I've had a phenomenal start to this year, even with a 2-month break. We're absolutely flying. The next thing is now we're only scraping the surface of the postcodes that I have. So there's more that we can do there. But then also then there's quite a large town around me, which the Medway town's best part of 300,000 people living there, and I've got 25,000 households. So there's more room to grow my business into the rest of Medway as well, and that's kind of what we'll be looking to do certainly this year, and grow the business certainly over the next 8 years. So when I'm 58, then I can make a decision as to what I want to do. It's kind of the plan, really.
Good stuff. Just before I go, John, what would your message be to any corporate area manager or regional manager who's in their 40s or early 50s and looking for another way to finish their estate agency career?
My message, Chris, to any regional or area manager who work for a corporate estate agency who's unhappy would be that if you feel you've still got the drive, determination, and the passion to run your own business, then you should definitely give it a go.
Thank you for your time today, John. You've been exceptional. As with all Watkin interviews, I hope anyone who sits on the Watkin sofa, EweMove nor John has paid me a penny to be here. I do these interviews because I genuinely am interested in talking to people in the estate agency. And as I said, I can confirm that no monies or consideration has been made. I'm on a mission to talk about the self-employed estate agency model. I do genuinely believe it is a fantastic model for the right people. And it's got to be the right people. It's not, for most, it isn't. It gives a great opportunity. So thank you for your time today. You've been an absolute star.
Thank you.